Thank you for tuning in to part 2 of my conversation with Marguerita Dolatly from Katten in New York. Here we are, picking up where we left off. When we talked, when I was in Orlando, I was there for Irish dance, which I do, for fun in my life. My kids have been Irish dancers for a long time. And I have a whole separate podcast about Irish
Oh, wow.
Irish dance. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that got us talking about finding our way. So in this conversation, as we're sort of helping lawyers like find out what works for them,
Yeah.
you shared a super interesting story about working with a group of lawyers to sort of explore passions, right? Do you want to
And interests
dive into
out.
that? And yeah,
Yeah, I would love to. Interests outside of work.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so over the last few years, I've been running a 10 module series for associates at our firm to learn the foundation of business development through 10 sessions. So we really cover everything. Networking general, building your internal network, your external network. Then we talk about like leveraging events, thought leadership, just the full spectrum.
Mhm.
And we have a wonderful advisory committee that serves as our, helps guide the programming and also participates in a lot of the panels. So we bring a lot of our, accomplished lawyers who are good at BD and they come and we interview them. We kind of get their examples for what has happened, the war stories,
Yeah.
um, and so after that, one of those programs, 10 modules, I often collaborate with professional development and on their milestone events. So those are for new associates, mid-level, senior, and so forth. So this was a program for the mid-levels, and I was like, what can we do differently in this session? We had 1 hour toward the middle to end of the day, so I'm trying to keep people kind of engaged. And I've been reading a lot about how your hobbies can be outlets for creativity and help you develop skills like resilience, like confidence, creativity, just empathy, thoughtfulness, and how you can actually, through those experiences, come back into your daily life, your job, and bring those enhanced skills to your work. So I wanted to kind of talk about what you could bring from your hobbies and pursuits outside of work into business development, because I thought that there were a lot of parallels. Also, I think I forgot to mention there's a Law 360 column that talks about lawyers' hobbies outside of work. So
Oh,
there was
right
like
on.
a very accomplished swimmer, someone who trained horses, really different ways that people spend their precious time outside of work. So, teed up this training session for our mid-levels and I was very excited about this topic. I have to say, I'm like, we're really onto something. I think this is just going to bring out such an interesting conversation. And it began slowly, to say the least. It kind of fell a bit flat. People's first response was, I don't have any hobbies. I don't have time for
Mm,
hobbies.
mm,
And having been an associate, I was a corporate associate. I billed almost 3,000 hours one year. I mean, I know what that's like. Um, but also, I've been thinking a lot about, mental health in the profession, and you
mhm.
want people to have lives outside of work and interests and time for other things. So I was kind of hoping that tides have been changing, since I was practicing but these are very busy associates and they really like the wall went down with this whole concept. And as a trainer, this had never happened to me before. And I'm like, this may be the one that goes off the rails. This may be the one training that doesn't land. I hope not. And so what I ended up kind of asking as the second line of discussion was, what did you enjoy doing as a child? What do you wish you had more time to do? And thankfully, the room kind of loosened up a bit. People remembered the things that they enjoyed as kids, and they kind of interpreted the task, the assignment, a bit more broadly. So one person talked about travel and she said that she does travel for work mostly, but has some leisure travel. And she talked about the things that, she's learned an appreciation for different cultures, and how the arts can kind of like really open up a different way of thinking. And she's even brought, so one of the side steps I wanted us to get into was how you can break out of the golf mode,
Hmm.
right? There are other ways to have some good relationship building activities with your clients. So she talked about how she liked to go to art shows with clients. So that was kind of like my ideal that I was hoping to get to. Then a woman who had kids said, my kids aren't really a hobby, obviously, but I do spend a lot of my time outside of work with my kids. And this teaches me time. I was like, what do you learn from it that you can bring into your work? Time management, negotiation skills, right? So it really, thankfully, went from a moment that was on the brink of failure. And we wanted to talk about failure, like normalizing it. Like, it's not so bad. Like, it's not like a failure. I mean, training, it's part of my job, so I don't
Hmm.
want to fail in a training. But for people doing BD, you can have trial and error. Error is okay. You learn from
Hmm.
error, you get redirected from error, and you develop like a new pathway. But thankfully, this conversation, got some energy, some enthusiasm, and some parallels that actually worked. So it was saved, thankfully, after a few nerve-wracking moments. And I really appreciated, of course, the people who like stepped in and like reframed with me the theme. And but it also speaks to just how busy associates are across the board. And that worries me too, just, the volume of time that they're spending and like the impacts on their mental health too.
Right.
But
Right.
it was an interesting discussion for sure once we got over the hurdle at the
Well, and
beginning.
that's just such a great way to use coaching, even in a scenario where you're not focused on business development. Like in coaching scenarios, their roadblocks come up.
Yes.
I don't feel comfortable that doing that. I don't have time for that. I've
Mhm.
never done that before. I wouldn't know where to begin. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we can then break that down into smaller steps, or
Mhm.
here's how I see that arc planning out. Is there a point in there that you are comfortable, and
Mhm.
how do you get from where you are now to that point, and then to the next point, and then
Yes.
to the next point, and so on. You sort of build this bridge
Mhm.
across. So that is a great example. I mean, that's just good coaching. and,
Oh, thank
but I,
you.
but I, like, yeah, I can get the pressure that you felt like you were under as well.
I
And
was like,
sometimes
this
it,
has not landed, at first.
and it's super hard then to think, right? Like you go,
Yeah,
oh, geez, well, now it's spinning out of control, and you have to really practice and not obsess about that, and kind of go into all the things that we share with the lawyers,
totally.
all the
Totally.
time. Like, oh, okay, just it's not over yet. We're all in the same room together for a bit more here. So,
Well, it reminds me a little bit of a SWOT analysis that I was facilitating for a retreat, a practice group retreat,
yep.
and we had limited time, so we were going to do a rapid fire SWOT analysis, but
Hmm.
only focus on the positive elements, the strengths and opportunities. So, I had worked this through with the partners. This was the practice group leader. This was the goal. This was the mission. So and we got our whiteboards. We're ready to go. And we're like, okay, we're going to do a SWOT analysis, but for today, we're focusing on the strengths and opportunities. and an arm shoots up, and the partner says, I think we should really talk about the weaknesses and the threats,
Oh,
and so we're back into the like self-coaching and the kind of self-regulation that happens in these moments where I'm like, all right, this is not what I expected to happen, right? But this is where the room is taking us.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm present for where the room is taking us. And
sure.
it actually, I mean, I just felt like we were going straight into the eye of the storm, and people were not afraid to do it. And I'm like, all right, let's go for it and let's do it. And it turned out to be a very lively, interesting conversation. And we kept to the rapid fire, so we just did everything kind of more briefly, and it really was a good session. So it just got to be present. And I mean,
Right.
that's the biggest thing for pitching, right? And
Yes.
interactions, like just
Yeah.
be where you are and
Right, right,
listen
right.
and
And you
listen.
modeled you modeled like good behavior for them in those
Oh,
scenarios too, right? Like that
yeah,
sometimes that's our role as well,
right,
is
right.
just to sort of model how to handle that kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And if you really, it's a different conversation if you really want to bring people back to just the positives.
Right.
So did
Right.
that, did ultimately, did that conversation lead then to an understanding of what their strengths and opportunities are, or did it, I mean,
Yes.
I assume that was a good way to get there as well. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we were fighting with time a bit,
yeah,
but we did cover the bases, and we have integrated some of that messaging of like their self-knowledge about their strengths into their marketing, into their pitch materials. So, we did exactly what we needed to do with that moment.
that's so good. That's a
It's
good,
so
that's a
fun. I love, like you started with, Kristo. I love this stuff. It is so
Oh
cool.
yeah,
It's
it's
so cool.
really it is. I mean, as a creative person, so I
Mhm.
have a theater background. You know I am a creative person, but
Yeah.
also I like to deploy that creativity in the problem solving for others, as well. And so
Yes.
it
Yeah.
ends up being like, oh, this becomes this sort of deep listening exercise where I'm sort of where we're putting our heads together and I have to
Mm.
ask these questions to help unpack this and unpack that. And like we said earlier, we don't need to be therapists, but sometimes there
Yeah.
are these sort of personal things that you at least have to acknowledge
Hmm.
and put a pin in and
Hmm.
make use of the time and keep moving forward. So yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be passionate about. In doing this kind of work, I'm glad to meet you and talk more about it.
Likewise.
Do
Likewise.
you have, thank you. Do you have a another like life hack or quote that you like to use when you're coaching
When I'm
lawyers?
coaching.
Yeah.
Um, I have a lot. Actually, I for our new income partners, I gave them a roundup of my mantras last year.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
gonna, I don't have that at the
But
top of my mind, but I do have th well, I guess my main mantra is that BD can be learned and it can be taught, and it's not that is not a personality trait. That
yeah,
is not pure instinct. Hopefully, with practice, you develop instincts, but you can definitely learn it. You can definitely get better at it. You just have to want to build the skill
right,
and like acknowledge all the different ways you can learn about it. I have
right.
lists of like podcasts and books that I think are great references. Watching the examples of other people, talking to the people around you, every level, at your level, above your level, junior to you, right? Trainings, coaching, seminars at the firm, outside the firm, just to absorb it. And I think we were talking a little bit about kind of in this world of AI, this
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal piece
Mm-hmm.
is the true differentiator. Like how you lawyer is the thing that makes you different from all the other people who are capable in similar ways. Right. And so that will never leave us, no matter how advanced AI gets in the profession.
Right. Yeah, we haven't even touched on AI, but in my world, I see that there are a lot of ways that an attorney could use AI
Hmm.
in the sort of iterative, collaborative framework, idea
Hmm.
generation, exploration of next steps to get from point A to point B when the bridge isn't necessarily clear. So there are a lot of those
Yes.
things, as well. How do you see positives in lawyers using AI?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's so many different uses and it's getting more and more sophisticated. I've heard interesting things like there's a partner at our firm who actually may meet someone at a networking event and then step off to the side and ask AI, ChatGPT for a brief about
Sure.
that person like on the spot.
Right.
And I mean, definitely we're looking at it more broadly for our marketing and BD team to make certain
Hmm.
things more efficient and because like it's you want to get the information and the data and then it's like how you use it, how you
Hmm.
bring it to the lawyers, how you bring it to conversations and coaching and training and like how you build on the efficiencies and then apply them to the situations. I was also thinking recently about kind of the role of coaches in an AI world when you can ask AI for answers to things.
Hmm.
But no one's going to know kind of the specific environment you're working in. No one is going to know, as much as possible about the person that they're talking to. So it may give you some like template emails, and I'm all for it.
Hmm.
Like if that
Hmm.
encourages a lawyer to make the outreach or get, we always try to give lawyers something to work from. So like a first draft of things. So if
Yeah.
AI can give a lawyer a first draft of a follow-up email that they then infuse with their voice and, the
Right.
particularities of that relationship, I am all for it because
Hmm.
it's a matter of just getting it done, but also it being connective. So you don't want to just cut and paste, especially in those situations. You want to make sure that it still has the impact of being personal.
Yeah.
Um, so I think summaries of things, analysis, dossiers on targets and people, we're always trying to make sure we know everyone in the room and to see what connections can kind of form around
Hmm.
like their backgrounds, their prior firms, where they went to school. So I think it's an extremely valuable tool, and it's less fraught than the use of AI in legal work,
Oh, totally.
obviously.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's a tool. It's a
Yeah.
tool that we should learn to like channel for efficiency and help.
Right. I think the lawyers that are uh, that are unafraid.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot to be
Yes.
worried about. Like that work product thing, that's the thing
Yes.
that comes up all the time. Like, oh yeah, there's a firm down the street that got busted because blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah,
Yes.
you don't want to use it that way.
Right.
But the lawyer who does understand the value of it and iterating, or sometimes I even say collaborating with AI, because you are kind of back and
Yes.
forth with that. Like you're
Yeah.
both making contributions to get it to where you want it to go,
Mm-hmm.
and make it your own. So, and there are a lot of ways too that you can prime if you're using, you know, certain kinds of AI tools. You can tell it, you can have it help you get closer to the mark, before you have to put your final on it.
It's true.
Don't use dashes. Don't use colons so
Yes.
much. Don't write the way that AI writes. Do it this way instead, and you can train it too. So it even gets faster and faster and faster. But right, it's not a copy and paste. It is an iterative tool. And I think the lawyers that are comfortable with it are going to be more successful than those that are afraid of it. And so
Hmm.
I think that I'm comfortable with it. You sound like you're comfortable with it. We can
Yeah.
help model that behavior for the lawyers that we work with as well.
Yeah.
Do you view yourself as a mentor to other folks in the marketing and business development world, not just in your firm, but elsewhere?
I
And
do.
and if
Yeah.
so, like not everybody has to be a lawyer before they become a business developer. So what do you say are the key attributes or traits for a person who wants to get deeper into business development for
Yeah,
lawyers?
that's such a great question. And I always wanted to be a teacher growing up, so I feel like teachers are our best mentors in a lot of ways. And so, and I've seen a lot and done a lot, so I like to bring that experience back to the firm, to the team. Like I do train the trainers, like for the MBD team, and also, just staying in touch with people in the field. I think curiosity so that you understand. Again, we're not marketing and widgets. It's an expertise and it's the relationships of the lawyers with certain key decision makers or others at those companies. So you really have to understand what our lawyers do because that builds trust internally and credibility internally and also empowers you really to help them develop those relationships because you understand the work, you understand the relationship, you understand the industry, you understand the market, and like all geography, all of these can impact your business development approach. So you can't go into these conversations blindly. You have to really be rooted in the product, and the product is the service within the context of the relationships. So you have to want to, you don't have to be a lawyer, but you have to want to go deep into the practice areas that you are supporting. And our BD team at Katten is firm wide. So, we're very curious about like all the practices, and I'm lucky that I have experience in some and have been in the law for a long time. But it's like you have to get it, and you have to show our lawyers that we get it, because that advances the conversation. If you have to get up to speed a lot with them, it just takes too much time and can be frustrating. And also shows your commitment to this profession if you're really caring about what they do and what that means for clients, right? The impact, the business impact it has, and then you can shape the business development and marketing approaches. So I would say a combination of curiosity and really strong listening skills and a desire to like connect the dots. Like I think of BD as like a puzzle, and I always want to see how the pieces are working together and what we can make of it, you know?
Yeah.
You have to have that drive, the desire to make the connections that lead to cool things,
Yeah.
new work, new work.
Worthy goals, and that's a good way to frame it up too. That especially that curiosity piece, like that's just so helpful to be like, oh, I want to learn more. Tell me more. It makes the person feel good because they're the one that you're looking to for education and information, and but also the curiosity that would help you be prepped up to go into that room and not spend the time having them educate you, but you still have to sort of pry at things and pull at threads in those conversations. And so I think that's good advice. That's great. Awesome. Hey, Marguerita, thank you so much. This has been a really fun conversation to have, and a couple of BD nerds.
Totally getting
doing
into it,
Yeah,
doing our thing. I really enjoyed it too, Kristo. I'm so glad we've met and we had the chance to have this talk.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The BD Catalyst, a podcast for law firm business development and marketing changemakers, is brought to you by Lawyer Book Builder and BDBuddy.ai, technology designed to help law firms create an exceptional culture of business development. Our host is Kristo Sween, and our editor is Melanie Cristostomo. The BD Catalyst is a production of the David Freeman Consulting Group. Learn more at davidfreemanconsulting.com.